The Juggernaut kill streak is one of the most iconic in Call of Duty history, but which one is actually the best? Today, we're going to answer that question. We are going to rank every single version of the Juggy, the Juggernaut suit. There is 11 of them. We are going to be including the variants. So you got the Recon, you got the Flame Knot. They are all going to be ranked from absolute worst to absolute best. And I want to say really quick, whoever is in the comments saying that my face cam is AI, come on. Seriously, I guess I can see if you're going to say the voice is AI, but it's not, but I can play along with that. But seriously, you think AI could copy my mannerisms and everything? Come on. On a real note, I see all the feedback and the love on the addition of the face cams to intro off each video. It connects me to you. I like it. You guys seem to like it. So we will continue on now. Drop a like. Let's set a like goal in the first 24 hours of, screw it. It's a Juggernaut video. Let's go 1,500 likes in the first 24 hours. Here we go. Starting off at dead last today at number 11 is the Juggernaut in Modern Warfare 3 2011, the original Juggy, at least from an offensive standpoint. It would cost you 15 points in the Assault Strike package, and yes, it did reduce your movement speed by 35%. It also gave you an insane health boost as well as Scavenger, Quick Draw, and Sit Rep perks. As for weaponry, you would be given an M60E4 light machine gun with essentially infinite ammo as well as an MP412 revolver. Now on paper, this sounds great. This sounds awesome, but there were some major drawbacks. Yes, the Juggernaut had insane durability, but the main problem was the simple fact that the M60 was one of the worst guns in the game, and there were certain kill streaks that could almost instantly kill a Juggernaut, two of which were the Predator missile and the Stealth Bomber, which lots of people were running in the game, so sure. The Juggernaut looked awesome, super durable against enemy gunfire, but the lack of offensive power and the abundance of counters, I mean, those were the main downfalls, and for how expensive it was to earn, it often felt underwhelming if you ask me. With all that being said, I do want to say this, still a solid streak, and even though it's at the bottom of the list, it was a fun streak to use, and this is a list of Juggernauts, come on. It's one of the few reoccurring streaks in COD history that has never actually been bad. So even though it's at the bottom, don't think I'm saying it was bad. Somebody had to be at the bottom. When I'm being honest with myself, I think the OG Juggernaut deserves to be here. Every other version of the Juggernaut armor kind of improved upon the original. At number 10, the Juggernaut in COD Ghosts. Now compared to the classic MW3 version, the Ghost version of the Juggy had a few buffs that made it more desirable, but it still wasn't great compared to other versions we'll talk about. The Ghost version of the Assault Juggernaut was significantly cheaper. It cost you 11 points instead of 15 that was required in Modern Warfare 3. And it also had a proper minigun as its primary weapon instead of that crappy M60 LMG. Now the Ghost Juggy also got a movement buff compared to the Modern Warfare 3 version, and it got a couple bonus perks in addition to the 3 from the OG as well. But if it was buffed this hard for Modern Warfare 3, why would it be at number 10? Mainly because of the map design in the game. Even though the Ghost Assault Juggernaut was way better than the Modern Warfare 3 version on paper, most of your maps in Ghost didn't suit the playstyle. Minigun was much stronger than the M60, but it was still very inaccurate, and it still required you to be relatively close to people in order to kill them, and since most of the maps in COD Ghosts were huge battlefield maps, that was easier said than done. I know. The Ghost Assault Juggernaut moved noticeably faster than the Modern Warfare 3 version, but with how much quicker the time to kill was in this game, it was also a lot easier to kill with the bullets than its older brother was. Now, some people really like the Assault Juggernaut in the game, but I don't understand the appeal. I get that Infinity Ward is trying to make it stronger, but ultimately, I think it was destroyed by the map design of the game. You can make the Juggernaut as strong as you want, but when all the maps made you a sitting duck, it really wasn't worth taking into battle. At number 9, XS1 Goliath in Advanced Warfare. Now, I know this isn't technically a Juggernaut, but I'm going to put it on the list because I think it's pretty obvious that Sledgehammer wanted this to be their Juggernaut, their version of the iconic armor. The Goliath armor would cost you 775 points in Advanced Warfare, and once it dropped into the field, everyone in the match would be notified as to where the drop pod was, and once you put the armor on, you would lose your ability to jump and crouch in return for increased health and heavy weapons. Now, the firepower of the Goliath, to be honest with you, it was pretty impressive. But you didn't see it that much online for reasons here. Several. First of all, the lack of advanced movement options made it easy for people to run away from you and stay out of the line of fire, which could sometimes make using the Goliath armor kind of boring because you didn't get to shoot anyone. Second of all, the armor was big. There were certain maps where you literally couldn't traverse certain parts of it because you couldn't fit through the doorways. I think I remember getting stuck. But what you lost in movement, you did gain in firepower because this thing more or less instantly killed anybody you came across, which was pretty satisfying, and there was also some mods you could attach to it like a built-in trophy system or a recon ping. It was a love it or hate it score scrape because On one hand, a lot of people loved having so much firepower at their fingertips. On the other hand, a lot of people hated how slow and bulky the armor was, and all that firepower you had, you couldn't use. At number 8, the Juggernaut in Modern Warfare 2, 2022. Now, this Jug, on paper, is insane, but it was briefly a meme in the community because of how easy it was to kill. Now, there were a few bugs in Modern Warfare 2 that made it easier to kill than intended, but that didn't make it any less hilarious when it happened. The 2022 Juggernaut is basically the 2019 Juggernaut, but with more counters, so it's getting a lower spot on the list because it was strong in the right hands. I mean, I guess you could say this Juggernaut suffered from many of the same flaws as the Ghost Juggernaut did, in the sense of that on paper it was great, but in execution, the maps in Modern Warfare 2 just didn't work. I think it's a slightly better choice than the Ghost version, but that being said, I think you can tell. I think the 2019 version is a lot better. When we get around to that Juggernaut, we'll go into more detail about why this iteration of the armor is awesome. But as for the 2022 Jug, I think 8 is a fair place. It had some strengths, mainly because it was copy-pasted from 2019, but the map design of Modern Warfare 2, it just kind of made it a little worse than it probably could have been. It didn't help that there were some really cheesy ways to get rid of it almost instantly. It was always kind of annoying grinding for a Juggernaut only to get taken out by 2 to 3 kills because someone on the other team knew about the free patch cheese. At number 7, the Juggernaut Recon in COD Ghosts. Now, the Juggernaut Recon is one of the most popular variants of the Jug, and it's the one that a lot of people love because it's not as hard to earn, but it felt like it contributed to the battle. The Ghost version of the Jug Recon would cost you 14 points in the Support Strike package. It gave you this massive suit of armor and a handful of helpful perks, along with a riot shield, a 44 mag, a smoke grenade, and a radar strapped to your weapon. You could constantly pulse enemies onto friendly minimaps. The 44 mag was kind of difficult to use in this game, so you probably weren't going to get that many kills with the Jug Recon, but that wasn't the point. The point of this thing was to be this giant, hulking, unkillable UAV for your teammates to use in objective modes to make sure certain locations were clear before trying to secure them, and for that, it was amazing. I mean, I do admit it wasn't quite as good as its older brother, but that's okay. At number 6, the Juggernaut Recon in Modern Warfare 3 2011. Now, the original Jug Recon was an absolute beast. It was a tank. It was more expensive than the Ghost version. This time it cost you 18 points in the Support Strike package instead of 14, but you got a giant suit of armor that made you virtually unkillable without an airstrike, along with a portable radar strapped to your back. You were constantly giving enemy locations away. You had a riot shield, and everyone who's played classic Modern Warfare 3 remembers just how strong the riot shield was in this game. Now, instead of a 44 Magnum, it had a USP-45, which was crappy, I know, but some people found it to be relatively reliable for close quarters combat. To be fair, the point of this thing wasn't to get kills. It was to get enemies on their back foot so your teammates could clean them up. Movement, slow. Firepower wasn't great, but the Modern Warfare 3 Juggy was insanely strong because of how easy it was to earn and how devastating it could be as an assist machine in objective game modes. Plus, it was virtually unkillable without an airstrike in the game. That riot shield, it literally ate everything. Now we arrive at the top 5, the best of the best. The Juggernaut Recon in Modern Warfare 3 2023. I think this is probably the best version of the Juggernaut Recon in COD history for one simple reason: firepower. Juggernaut Recon in Modern Warfare 3 had to be earned the old-fashioned way, get a bunch of kills without dying. So earning this version of the Recon Jug was way harder than the other two we talked about, but Sledgehammer Games, they made sure to reward you for your work by also making it much better at killing people than previous versions. Now, the 2023 version of it had a massive health boost, a portable radar strapped to its back, but it also now had a spam shotgun as its primary weapon. That kept enemies from getting close. The fact that it only cost you 8 kills to earn made it a lot better at turning the tide of a battle. You could easily start burning through the objectives once you had it equipped, and more than likely, you were going to get more than 8 kills with your shotgun in the process. Now, it might have been a little underrated, and you may not agree with it being in the top 5. I think it was good. I think it was the best version of the Juggernaut Recon armor. At number 4, Flame Knot and Vanguard. This has to be one of the coolest kill streaks in COD history. The Flame Knot was basically the Modern Warfare 2019 version, but instead of a minigun, you had a giant flamethrower. And unlike the Black Ops 1 flamethrower, this flamethrower was good. Vanguard didn't have as many frequent forms of airstrikes or heavy kill streaks, which made it a lot easier for a Flame Knot player to dominate the entire lobby for a couple minutes, just burning everyone to a crisp over and over again. And while there were some counters to it, you would typically get a lot of work done before the enemy was able to take you down. It was on the expensive side. I mean, it's something this powerful should be. But with the damage this thing dished out and how tight a lot of the maps were in the game, the Flame Knot was nuts. If you saw it coming, you were legit scared. At number 3, The Juggernaut in Modern Warfare 2019. It was a monster. Larger maps, it struggled, but the small and medium-sized ones, it was one of the scariest things in COD history. The 2019 Jug would cost you 15 kills. But it would not only start blasting heavy metal in your headphones when you activate it, which was awesome, but also give you this ridiculous minigun that was much more accurate than it seemed. It would also give you roughly 4,000 health points, making you approximately 40 times stronger than the average enemy player you encountered. There were downsides, of course, the insane movement penalties and the fact you actually dropped your minigun when you died, which allowed enemy players to pick it up and use it against you if you weren't careful, but you could easily get 10 to 20 kills while using it before being taken out. And on the smaller maps, Shipment, Shoot House, it was unstoppable. It's one of the best. At number 2, I said scariest on the last one, I was wrong. The Maniac and Ghost. Now, I may be in the minority here. I love this thing. It was terrifying. Maniac was such a unique take on a classic Juggernaut armor, and it rewarded you so heavily for playing to its strengths. Instead of making you a slow, lumbering force of nature, the Maniac made you a quick, nimble killer. But it still gave you that juicy health boost that you would expect from a set of Juggernaut armor. Cost you 10 points in the Assault Strike package. Would give you a massive health boost, as well as a bunch of helpful perks. You had Blind Eye, Incog, Sit Rep, Marathon, Off the Grid, and then it would replace your weapons with a combat knife. But unlike all the other Juggernauts that slow down your movement, the Maniac would actually make you move 15% faster than everyone else. Basically, you turned into Jason Voorhees with a Juggernaut suit, running around the map, slicing everyone into pieces and shrugging off their bullets like they were butterfly kisses. Other Juggernauts and Ghosts kind of struggled due to the large map design. The Maniac Jug, it thrived on the larger maps because you could zip around them way faster than anyone else. You could stick a knife in their back before they realized what you were there, and then you were gone. If you were on the other team when someone else was running around in Maniac armor, it was terrifying. Might be a hot take to put it this high, I don't know. But I really think the Maniac is one of the best Juggernaut variants in COD history. It was unique, it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but if you did use it, which I did, it was your cup of tea. At number 1, the strongest has to go to the Modern Warfare 3 2023 Jug. I think it's as good as it gets. More or less the same Juggernaut that appeared in 2019 in Modern Warfare 2, but we had changes, mainly to the gameplay around it. The movement seemed slightly quicker, map design was way better, so you actually got the most out of the armor and it wasn't just a sitting duck on big open maps. Modern Warfare 3 Juggernaut also felt more accurate when you sprayed the minigun, which allowed you to rack up the kills before getting taken out. And you really did feel like a beast on the battlefield with how many freaking shots it took to drop you. Yes, this version of the Juggernaut was more or less just copy-pasted from the other two games, but you had those slight tweaks to the accuracy and way better map design, and here it is. If you want the Juggernaut that made you feel like the biggest boss in the lobby, I think this is it. And since a bunch of you are still playing Modern Warfare 3, I encourage you, go equip this thing and give it a try for yourself. I don't think you will regret it. There you go, my friends. See you soon.